Two teams that share a state will now share a football field as the Ohio State Buckeyes host the Ohio University Bobcats. No Ohio opponent has ever won a game in Ohio Stadium. There have been some close calls, but in this case, close doesn't even count in horseshoes.
Hit as he throws and threw it to Ohio.
The guys in green are coming off a win over West Virginia, but this week, Route 33 is their country road, and it's taking them to a much bigger challenge against the Buckeyes. There's a geographical rivalry. There's a historical rivalry. There's even a mascot rivalry. The battle for Ohio is here, and the football fever starts right now. Welcome to a full house edition of The Football Fever. We're going to need a bigger studio. I'm Dave Holmes, joined by Kellyanne Stitz and former Buckeyes Ben Buchanan, Obi Stillwell, Jay Richardson. This week it is an Ohio state of mind. The Bobcats come to town and try to prove they run this state at least for one evening in September. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off right now. Obi, what on earth are you doing wearing green today?
Wow.
Hey, listen,
Wow.
I'm wearing green because it's green for money. This is a money game.
Oh.
Should be automatic.
Okay.
Cash in the bank, all right? Put the deposit in.
See?
But we're going to talk about that. Hang out
He
with us.
defended himself. I'm the resident Bobcat. I'm just going to rip off the Band-Aid too.
Good.
But I'm all neutral today.
Wow.
You look sharp though, Obi.
Thank you. You all.
You do wear it well. I
Thank
will
you.
say that.
Jay, Ben, would you guys like to say something pro-Ohio State on The Football Fever? We're off to a rocky start here.
I could start us off if I would, guys. You think about this team off to a great start in 2025, defeating #1 Texas in the Horseshoe. What a game that was, and obviously seeing the tight ends really start off great this year as well. But we talked about it in the post-game show last week, Jay. Finally, they earned a Grambling State, and we got a Grambling last week, 70-0. I think there were a lot of great things that came out of that. How about Julian saying, guys, 18 for 19, sets the completion record for 16 in a row. I am really high on this quarterback, Jay.
Yeah, man, it's always nice when you put up a basketball score on
Yeah.
the team early on in the season to get the juices flowing. What I love about Ohio State so far is the defense. You know where I'm going to go with this. Matt Patricia just absolutely being a nutty professor up there, just getting all the tools organized defensively, making Caleb Downs look like the superstar we know he is, and making sure this defense is something that every offensive coordinator is going to fear for the rest of the season. It's really, really inspiring. This looks like a team that can go the distance, especially on the defensive side of the football.
And I also will say this. They look like they're going to go 3-0 heading into the bye week. I do love my Bobcats, but Ohio State should get the job done today.
Well, Ohio University does come to town with a 1-1 record. That includes a win last week over West Virginia and a game they really could have and maybe should have won against Rutgers. Defending MAC champions, they were 11-3 last year. They won a bowl game. And according to the voice of the Bobcats, Marty Bannister, they're ready to roll.
I think that's the thing that people are overlooking a little bit. This program has won. It's one of the few in the country that's won 10 or more games each of the last 3 years. They won 11 last year. So intimidation, awe, none of that comes with them to Ohio Stadium for the kickoff in this game. They fully expect to walk in and beat Ohio State.
All right, Ben, this was not your granddad's MAC school. They're going to make some noise today. So what do you think the key is for the Buckeyes to declaw those Bobcats?
Well, they have a good quarterback, good dual threat guy. So going to be obviously tuning in there. But it sounds like cliche coach speak we hear all the time. It's about us. Ryan Day would say. We know that we're rolling on the defensive side of the ball. We're going to talk special teams today. I want us to be special on the special teams. But looking for Ohio State to have a big win tonight in prime time in the Horseshoe. Can't ask for much better than that.
OSU's last non-conference game before Big Ten play begins. Now, normally you just pencil in that blowout. You say bring on the games that matter. But every now and then, guys, one of these MAC schools comes into the shoe. Not often, but every now and then they give you more than you wanted. And, Obi, if we go back to 2013, there was a Buffalo team that came in here and showed no fear against the Buckeyes.
Yeah, it was. It's interesting when you go back and look at that game. Actually, there were 9 new starters for Ohio State's defense. There were some. I know there were some players that were out. Bradley Roby was suspended. Actually, C.J. Barnett actually was out through injury. He had his ankle. I think his ankle was injured. So there was a team that and plus it was the first game. So they were still trying to get their personality and personnel in place. Khalil Mack just stuck out, all right? He was
I
just,
bet he did.
He made a lot of money that day.
He made a lot of money that game.
Yes, he
had
did.
two sacks, 2 tackles for loss, plus a ton of tackles, plus an interception. Took it back for a touchdown. So, but it was a little rocky for Ohio State. They kind of Buffalo stayed in it, for the first half as we kind of expect, and then Ohio State just took over. But it was just a rocky start to Ohio State's first game. They didn't blow them out, as Jay say, with the basketball score, but they did. I mean, they ended up 40-20 against that team. But it was an honorable fight that Buffalo put up, and I think that OU will do somewhat of the same, but I guarantee you that there's some OU players right now, as we speak, that have Ohio State autographed football somewhere in their room, a poster or something like that. You talk about, they're not going to be intimidated or anything like that. Guess what? They've marked this game on their schedule probably since they were toddlers.
You're right.
Right? So
They never admit it, but
we'll never admit it.
Yeah.
Let's keep it
big one for them.
100. It's a big one, and it is going to be an intimidation factor. It's going to be at nighttime in the shoe. They're going to feel a little different about this game.
Should have been what happened with Texas. It should have been nighttime in the shoe.
I agree that.
Totally agree.
Yeah, and again, everybody has a plan.
Now, Kelly,
until they get hit in the mouth.
Now, Kellyanne, you mentioned once, for the first time of many times over the next hour, that you went to Ohio University. What are the vibes in Athens right now? Because the OU people around the newsroom are walking with their chest out right now.
I think these Bobcats are confident. I know playing in the shoe will be intimidating for them, but they have a really good win against West Virginia. They're going to ride that confidence. Speaking personally, I would just love to see a competitive first quarter. This isn't Grambling State. This isn't going to be what that was last week, where this blowout, this shutout. I think they'll find the end zone at least once. But I think they'll
against this defense.
Yeah, because they have a really good, as Ben mentioned, dual threat quarterback in Parker Navarro. Ohio State in the past has struggled sometimes with mobile quarterbacks, so I think he'll be able to find the end zone maybe once on a rushing touchdown. But I think that'll be it. I think Ohio State's going to get the job done. I mean, they're the #1 team in college football for a reason. We've seen what they did to Texas. Of course, we saw what they did for Grambling State. I just think they're going to keep the momentum going. They're going to go into the bye week 3-0. So, yeah, that's what I'll say. Sorry to my alma mater, but it's just a different program here.
You know what? Can I support what you just said? Navarro already 1,000 yards last season in 2024, 18 rushing touchdowns, and already 180 yards on the ground so far this season with a rushing touchdown. Ohio State historically always been a little bit struggles with these dual threat guys, and against Grambling, everyone's gonna look at the score. But if you really watch that Grambling tape, there were times where that quarterback really could have made some plays, and he had a drop here or there, but had some plays with his legs where you kind of go, okay, a dual threat guy is still going to be somewhat of an issue, and I think Ohio State has to continue to kind of clamp that down.
And an area for them to improve today.
Yeah, and there is something more at stake here, though, for the Buckeyes than just a simple win or loss. There is that iconic record against in-state schools on the line. Currently, the Buckeyes are on a 53-game unbeaten streak against in-state opponents. Often those games aren't close. Take a look at the 3 most recent between OSU and their fellow Ohio schools. Last year, they smoked the Zips 52-6. In 2023, Youngstown State was on the wrong side of a beating. The Buckeyes pummeled the Penguins 35-7. And the year before that, the Toledo Rockets left the shoe with a 77-21 defeat. So to actually find a football team in Ohio capable of beating the Buckeyes, it's those group of studs.
Oh, wow.
We went in the time machines. This is the 1921 Oberlin team that beat OSU 7-6 to cap off an undefeated season. Little side note there, 5 years earlier in 1916, Oberlin played Ohio State. The Buckeyes won 128-0. So Oberlin got that NIL cash, though. They started giving guys pennies under the table.
Back in the 1920s.
Right.
Way back then.
So, Jay, if you don't learn from history, you're bound to repeat it. History says other Ohio schools cannot come into the shoe and win. Do you think the Bobcats are going to feed off a little brother mindset today? Because like we said, I mean, this is the game they have circled.
Dave, first of all, I didn't know that the Buckeyes played against the founding fathers of the nation back in the day. That is
that's
wild,
James Madison playing center.
You're not intimidated by those guys?
No. And OU, I don't even consider them little brother, maybe little cousin. Like, they're just very, very tiny. You know, I was on the 0-2 team. We played Cincinnati, and that was a close in-state game. And that was one of those games that, en route to a national championship, could have really been a stumbling block for Ohio State. I don't foresee that. We talked about the quarterback, and I think that is the one thing that OU can leverage against this defense to really give themselves an opportunity to at least make it interesting, as Kellyanne said, for a quarter. But when you look at this Ohio State team and you just look at some of the things that you're seeing on the film right now, some of these talented wide receivers and just some of these guys that I don't even know that any other team has a roster of Ohio State's magnitude and skill set. There's just no chance for the Bobcats because at a long enough timeline, you don't have the horses. And you might be able to compete for about 8 to 12 minutes. But as the game goes on, man, our guys are just going to be too much. We know that. But I do appreciate in-state rivals. I do appreciate that they feel that way about it. Yeah. And you want a team to come in and be confident going against Ohio State. If you're Ryan Day, you want your guys to have a legitimate challenge heading into the bye week and feeling good going into that bye week. So look for a lot of the backups to come in, play really, really well in the second half. But I think the starters are going to play way more than just the first and second quarter, as we saw last week with Grambling.
Yeah. And you got to be careful not to over-scheme in these type of games because you do have the superior athletes. Just go out there and let them play.
Let them do what
let them see the ball, make tackles, run around, have fun, and then get the second, third string in.
Well, piggybacking off of Dave, looking at Big Bro, if you will, Ohio State's reputation speaks for itself, a powerhouse and desired landing spot for a lot of recruits across the country, but especially here in Ohio. Obi, you actually had a scholarship offer to play football at Akron, but you opted to take a chance and walk on at Ohio State. What went into that decision?
You know what? Interestingly enough, thank you for that. Yeah, interestingly enough, I was actually at Ohio State when I got the offer.
Oh, really?
It was the 1994 season. I had actually gotten injured up in Northwestern, blew my knee out, and Coach Lee Owens, who was the offensive line coach, came in the training room while I was icing and rehabbing my knee and everything. He came in and said, Obi, not a lot of people know this, but I just got the job, the head coaching job for Akron.
Wow.
And I want you to come with me and help me start that program.
Wow.
And I wasn't on scholarship yet. But Lorenzo Styles, Craig Powell, and Preston Harrison, well, Craig and Lorenzo had whispered in my ear and told me, hey, we're leaving for the NFL early. So I was like, Greg Baldessari was moving to middle linebacker. Ryan Miller was going to play weak side linebacker. I was going to be the only returning letterman in the strong side linebacker position. I was like,
so
I'm
you're saying there's a chance.
And so you're saying there's a chance. So I stayed.
Classic.
So, but if I would have went, obviously, who knows? But there's something about Ohio State. When you're in Ohio State, when you're an Ohio kid and playing for the Buckeyes, there's really no other competition. And I'm glad I stayed.
Well, you wouldn't be here if you went to
I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
You know that.
Jay. So,
if you were a zip, that's right.
Yeah. So I'm glad I stayed. But you know what? I understand those guys that kind of want to come in and show what they got. They didn't get recruited like they thought they should have. Some of the guys they may even see on Saturdays like, man, I'm as good as him. So I know there's a little extra behind there. But again, I go back to this. Everybody has a plan until they get hit in the mouth. And there's something about Ohio State and the tradition of Ohio State that continues to hit these in-state schools in the mouth pretty consistently.
And for the experience and opportunity, kind of piggybacking off of that for Jay and Ben. Jay, I'll start with you first. But when it comes to playing at Ohio State, for some of these kids who maybe aren't 4- or 5-star guys, but really good football players in the state, maybe just need a little bit more development, is it better to take that opportunity and that chance to work really hard and get on the field at Ohio State, or start right away and go play ball at one of the other Ohio schools?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. And that question is going to be answered very differently now in the NIL
Yeah.
than it would have been when I was getting recruited, by Coach Treadwell in Michigan State. And I thought about being a Spartan, and they offered me a chance to really be a starter as a true freshman. And then you get Jim Tressel walking into your home, and then you get, Mark D'Antonio and Luke Fickell, and this was the defensive staff with Mel Tucker and Mark Snyder and all these guys, and they're just the football acumen, the type of team that you knew they were building, headed up by Maurice Claret and Justin Zwick and all these guys, and it was like, I want to be a part of that. And you knew you wanted to be a part of it. I was a Dublin-Souda kid, so it was right in my backyard coming up watching Ohio State games. There was really, as Obi said, there's no competition between any other school, even a Big Ten school, and Ohio State. When you're talking about recruiting, you're talking about opportunity. These kids know they're going to be on the biggest platform, the biggest stage when they come to Ohio State. And the most important thing is, your pathway to the NFL. If you can get to Ohio State, it fast tracks everything.
Yeah.
If you can ball at Ohio State in the shoe, you're going to have a much better opportunity to be seen by everyone at the next level. And that's what all these kids want to do. Now, it's different now with NIL.
Right.
And I don't know if Coach Treadwell would have been offering me $800K. Right. I might be in the same suit you in right now. I might be in one of these suits right now.
Bunch of sellouts on this set, man.
Just looking back, though, guys,
Money talks,
and so true, Jay. But looking at the purity of the game, you think about it, if you're in Columbus, Ohio, you're a 5-year-old young man, you're dreaming of putting on the scarlet and gray, right? I mean, that's just kind of, it is what it is, par for the course, and even across the great state of Ohio. You know, guys, we use the term this is the football fever. It's the Ohio State Buckeyes, the world famous Ohio State Buckeyes, as they're known when they play on Fox, right? But it really is true. It's the championships. It's the Heisman Trophy winners. It's the alumni. It's just kind of a standard of its own, right? And that is the Ohio State University. It's not cliche. We hear the people, the tradition, the excellence. I remember Urban Meyer used to always say it as well. Careers are made, legends are born. Don't hide from that. When you come to Ohio State, you can come to become a legend. You can go to the next level. And it's just amazing. The brand, the mystique of Ohio State is very real, and you shouldn't hide from that as well.
And a lot more eyeballs. It's the big stage at Ohio State. Well, coming up on the Football Fever, we're figuring out how well we know Bo. Take a look at the promising young running back who his teammates say is up next. You're watching the Football Fever. Welcome back to the Football Fever in the Atlas Butler offensive checkup. We have to highlight the quarterback Julian Sayin. The California kid is on a tear in Columbus. He leads the Big Ten in completion percentage and has thrown for 432 yards and 5 touchdowns. He's been accurate downfield, poised in the pocket. And Ryan Day says they're working to put more on his plate this week and spread the ball around more. So Jay, what have you liked so far about the young quarterback's performance?
Oh, first things first, I love Julian Sayin's demeanor. I like the kid's mentality. When you're the guy and you're a young quarterback, the first thing I look for when I'm evaluating young quarterbacks is operations. Does this kid set the huddle correctly? Does he set protections? Can he operate? Can he move in the pocket? Does he understand what needs to happen? Does he understand down and distance? Julian Sayin checks every one of those boxes. And then the next up is just accuracy, ball placement. You see right there, right down the seam to, yes, a wide open receiver, but it's where he puts the football. It doesn't matter if he's got somebody in front of his face. He's hanging in there. He's making really, really great throws, and he's doing it within the rhythm of the offense. I thought Ryan Day called a beautiful game last week, getting Julian not so much moving around, but staying in the pocket early on. And he really is a pocket guy. When you see him up close, he's not a huge guy, so you think to yourself, they're going to have to move the pocket to really get him passing lanes. No, he operates. He can throw from the well. He can make it accurate, and then if he has to move around, he can. But what you love is just his poise, his confidence, and ball placement. I understand completely why they went with him over Keenholz. And even though Keenholz played very well in the game coming in, this kid just has it.
Quick release, confidence. He isn't intimidated. I'm excited to see where he continues to grow throughout the season. Just really quickly, where do you feel like he really has to grow?
Well, what I want to see out of him is a little bit more quicker decision making.
Yeah.
Sometimes there is going to be some hesitancy when you're trying to break stuff down, but the kid is smart. I mean, he understands defenses at a high level. You could tell that against Texas because that was a top 8 defense. Make no mistake about it. And he didn't make the big mistake. Just continue to grow in the offense and maybe get a little bit more confident with those legs. There's going to be some times in this season where things are going to break down and you might not be able to just toss it up to JJ, and he's going to have to use his legs. I want to see a little bit more of that just to put it on tape for opposing defensive coordinators to have to game plan for stopping 2 things.
He is athletic and he can do that, but it's not just saying getting his roses after last week's performance. Last week's lopsided win over Grambling allowed Ryan Day to play depth and allowed some young Buckeye stars to shine. For more on that, let's send it over to the guys, Dave, Opie, and Ben.
Yeah, thanks, Kellyanne. She mentioned a lot of the second and third stringers got big minutes against Grambling last week. They contributed both offensively and defensively, including freshman linebacker Riley Pettijohn, who Ryan Day named Defensive Player of the Week. As a freshman. Obi, what do you like about this kid?
Well, there's nothing petty about Pettijohn.
No,
not at all.
He's a player. He was 6'1", 215 coming out of high school. He actually is 6'1", 235. He's put on a little more weight. What's interesting is that, you know, you can't teach effort, and this guy has the effort. He has the finish that I like. It's interesting, too, you look at his father. You always kind of look, you know, at the pedigree, right? He's a Syracuse guy, was a 2-time All-Big East player. He's third in all-time sack leader there. Had a couple stints in the NFL. Arena ball probably made the most impact. But he really positioned his son to be the type of player that he is. When you look at even that tackle right there, that is textbook tackling, stepping into the guy, bringing your hips, taking him to the ground, cause the fumble. These type of things are not things that you can really coach up. There has to be a tenacity about the player to do that. For him to get the defensive player of the game as a freshman is crazy, but he's extremely talented. He's fun to watch. It's interesting too because when I look at the background, his father started him at strong safety. As Lorenzo Styles started Sonny at strong safety and then moved them up. It's interesting about how when you can teach a kid the coverage and then teach him the box, there's something about that it helps them to move faster as a linebacker. He ran a 10.77 in the 100 meter also in high school. This kid has speed, he's quick, and he comes with an attitude every single time. So I'm looking forward to him getting more playing time.
Yeah,
Pretty
also
impressive.
looks like the future of Zone 6 is secured. May have only had 1 catch last week, but Mylan Graham made the most of it and showed off why he's such a highly touted recruit. And Ben, it's not his time quite yet, but Carnell Tate's gone after this year. Yep. Jeremiah will be gone in a couple. It's going to be his time soon enough.
It is. He's the future. He's the heir apparent. You can just see the athleticism right there. 6'1", 195. Coach Mix already put some weight on him in the weight room, which is great. I believe he came in about 170, 175. But to see him, he just looks like a slasher out there. Great hands, elite route runner, and you can just see that breakaway speed and a physical kid too. So excited to see him develop through the years here. And I think it does come back. We always talk about this guy when you look at the great receivers at Ohio State. It's Brian Hartline, right? I mean, what he's been able to do from the coaching side to recruit and to develop and now retain these athletes at a high level. I have this written down. You talk about mentor and mirroring. Think about the guys before him. You got a Jeremiah Smith, a Carnell Tate, a Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Egbuka, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Jackson Smith, and Jigma. I go on and on. The bar at Ohio State for wide receiver has never been higher, and somehow, Dave, they just keep ratcheting it up higher and higher. It's amazing what Brian Hartline has built here, and I look at Marlon Graham as just next man up here.
Yeah, and the one guy who I thought really made the biggest impact of the youngsters was running back Bo Jackson. Now, he may not be related to the Raiders legend, but he sure looked like that Bo on the field. And to the average Buckeye fan who doesn't know Bo, he seemed to have come out of nowhere. But to his teammates, Bo has been known.
I mean, he tough running back, fast. I mean, he could do it all. I mean, me and him was working out together in the offseason, and I was like, yeah, this guy is good. That's a great running back to come through here for sure. Bo Jackson. That's the guy right there. I've been saying this is spring. Bo Jackson is next up for sure.
All right, Obi Ben, this kid's going to be a stud. Am I crazy, or is Bo Jackson going to get meaningful carries in a big game this season at some point?
I would say he has to. Just even on that video right there, you saw how he finished with the lean in. The running back that I saw that was somewhat like that, some people may say I'm going out on a limb, but when I saw Ezekiel Elliott run at a young age, it was the way that he finished violently. Bo Jackson finishes violently. I like that. You can't teach that. That comes from within. And this dog is biting early.
I would have to agree with you. You look at the pad level, the vision, the physicality. I mean, he has all the makings of a great running back. And I agree with you, Obi. I think this year, some of the best years at Ohio State, it's more of a running back by committee. I think we can see what C.J. Donaldson is going to continue to do. James People, we've been high on him for a while. Is this his come-out game as well? But you look at Bo Jackson, what a name and what a career to come.
You know, I talked to Beanie Wells, an all-time great running back, this week about Bo Jackson, and I asked him, can you even judge a running back in a blowout game like this? He said, it's the one position you can, because it's how does a guy read, react, and hit a hole.
Yep.
And he was very impressed. But my main question about this game, will there be a fight before the game even begins? Because coming up, it is the bizarre rematch, 15 years in the making. Rufus v. Brutus. It is time to look at the tail of the tape. If you like mascot fights, you've come to the right place. More Fever coming up next. In this week's J&J Pepsi Fantastic Photo of the Week, we're showing our love for the Buckeyes mascot, Brutus. Fans love him so much, they'll even line up to get a picture of the wall painting version of the world-famous nut. But that version of Brutus looks a little less black and blue than this one. It was one of the most infamous moments in the history of the shoe. Brutus brutally attacked, blindsided, cheap-shotted by the Ohio Bobcats mascot, Rufus, the last time these teams played back in 2010. This fight was unscripted. Rufus just attacked Brutus in front of the cheerleaders and a bunch of players, kneeling down to pray. A peaceful moment. And Rufus got in there and did that. But a Bobcat against a Buckeye isn't the most entertaining fight, at least on paper. So with that being said, we're going to open this up to debate. All right, so each of us picked a pair of mascots in the Big Ten that we think would make the best fight. All right? Let's start with Kellyanne. What kind of Big Ten battle you want to see?
Dave, I went a little bit more of like Game of Thrones style, and I picked Rutgers Scarlet Knight versus USC's Trojan. I feel like that would be a very entertaining matchup, but I will say this. I know a few of our friends here picked Purdue Pete. He would run the table in the Big Ten. I'll just say that, 'cause he is scary when y'all see him.
Yeah, so I like that. It's very like gladiator-ish.
That's right.
I was a little bit more literal with this. I'm thinking like, what mascots would really be a
In
nice
real life,
matchup?
like,
And then I was like, oh my God. A Wolverine versus a Badger. Like which one of these animals wins? You're talking to a guy that's watched as much National Geographic as anyone and more Animal Planet than anyone. And I gotta say, as tough as Wolverines seem, Badgers are absolutely vicious. Even in the wild, lions steer clear of honey badgers because it's just not worth the trouble. Yeah, it's not worth the trouble. So I'm definitely gonna go Badger on this. Nobody wants problems with Badgers.
I would take that one over the Nittany Lion
It's
too.
not worth the trouble. It's like if you see a Badger, de-escalate.
De-escalate. You want no problem
It'd
with
be a
that.
scrappy fight.
Obi,
That's
what
for
do you got?
sure.
Well,
I need to look this
unfortunately,
up.
that badger looks kind of cute, so I don't know about that. But I picked Sparty against the Boilermaker.
Look at
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Look at that. That's
looks
like
soulless.
the perfect.
Look at the
matchup,
chin on the Boilermaker.
He just has to get that sword out of his hand. That's it, man. I think a Boilermaker could take him. You know?
I think it could take everyone.
I like that as well. Well, mine, I have a little personal connection, guys. I went Sparty of Michigan State University versus the USC Trojans, one of the newest Big Ten teams. My personal connection, I'm half Greek. We're aware of Sparta and the Spartans, right? So all I have to say is, have you seen the movie 300, guys?
yeah.
And that's all I have to say. I think
Yes.
Sparty's going to take care of the
Classic
Trojans.
sword fight.
All due respect.
Well, for me, I want to see a country bar fight. I want to see two country boys go at it. So I want Herbie Husker to take out Purdue Pete. Okay, Purdue Pete looks like the thing your kids are afraid lives in their closet. That guy is horrifying. Purdue Pete is like in the parking lot when the police says to the lady, "Can you describe the man that was giving you problems tonight?" That's the sketch right there. That's a creeper. And I think
It is a
this is
creeper.
like a hillbilly against a union guy. They get into a fight. They get into a fight about politics at the bar. They go outside to settle it. And I need Herbie Husker to beat down Purdue.
Blue collar battle right there.
A proper fight, right?
Proper old school country boy.
I love how you
brawl.
brought this storyline to life of these.
No, I'm working on the
You painted
screenplay.
a great picture.
I'm working on the screenplay right now. Okay.
Purdue
Well,
Pete
today
got a
we're
chin.
actually going to talk about real football now. All right. Today, one Buckeye is going to be torn in two different directions. Will Kacmarek traded in his green and white for scarlet and gray, but is there any love lost between Will and his former teammates? We'll find out when the Football Fever returns.
perspective? Is he going to get little after the whistle action from the guys from OU? What do you think? How do they greet him?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're going to be looking at him as a traitor. You switch sides, although it's for the better nonetheless. They're going to be looking at him and trying to get some big hits on him nonetheless. I mean, anytime you're going to get somebody somebody that left your side and went to the dark side, quote unquote, you want to show them why they should have stayed. So you're going to do something after the whistle without question, whether that's a nudge under the collar or an elbow or anything, it's coming.
And Kacmarek will definitely be ready for those extra shoves after the play is over. He may bleed scarlet and gray right now, but there was once a time when he repped green and white. Before Will was a Buckeye, he was a Bobcat, and today's game will serve as a reunion for the Kacmarek family. Will Kacmarek has played in 9 games in the shoe, but this game against Ohio means more to Will and his family.
I knew this game was coming. It's going to be cool.
Football brought Will from St. Louis, Missouri to Athens, Ohio, where he spent 3 seasons playing tight end for the Bobcats.
Reeled in for a touchdown. Will Kacmarek.
But after the 2023 season, Will decided it was time to leave the bricks behind for brighter lights at the shoe.
I knew that I wanted to play in the Big Ten or an SEC school like that. And I just feel like my play had stood out enough where I felt confident in making that jump.
I knew he had it in him. I knew he was destined to do this, but yeah, it was very exciting. It's a big jump it's the big time here. This doesn't get any bigger than Ohio State.
Will quickly bought into the brotherhood, becoming a warrior in the trenches known for his blocking.
He's a tough guy. He does a lot of dirty work, and he's somebody that has now played some, and so when you look at him, this is a guy that we're counting on, and you feel like you can count on.
Will proved he could be counted on, making an immediate impact in his first season at Ohio State that ended in a national championship.
Now this is on camera. Yeah, I'm super proud of him, but I'll never say that to his face. No, I'm kidding. But no, I'm super proud. He deserves it, man. He's worked his whole life for this, and yeah, I love it.
You can imagine dreams come true. I lost for words. It's still sitting in for me. So. But we got to move on now, unfortunately.
Now, the calendar has turned, and for the first time in 15 years, Ohio State is playing Ohio University. In a twist of fate, Kacmarek will be lining up against guys he once shared a dorm with.
I'm friends with a lot of guys on the team, all the coaches, and at the end of the day, we're still playing the team. We'll worry about all that after the game, but it'll be really cool to see those guys on the field.
From the opening kick to the final whistle, those friends will become foes, but those foes will always be family.
Just kind of a big homecoming game. I feel like just having both sides. I'll be wearing my OU shirt underneath the jersey. I got to rep both sides.
Well, we've already been in touch with some friends we have from back at OU, and we're getting together with them for tailgating. And he still has probably 5 or 6 guys that he played with that he'll be going up against. We were kind of a family, and so we're still a family.
His parents go to every game, and they have love for the Bobcats, but they told me it's all about the Buckeyes today. Will is one of the best blockers in the country, but he's elevated his game this year by working on his route running. He found the end zone for the first time as a Buckeye against scrambling. He's looking to show his former teammates the things he's been working on today. I'm sure there will be some extra chirping for Will.
Yeah, for sure, Kellyanne. Now, it's only been 2 years since Will Kacmarek played at Ohio U, so I'm pretty sure he remembers his former teammates. But what about the guys here on set with me right now? Ben, Obi, and Jay, how well do you guys remember your former teammates? We're going to put you on the spot, all right? This is fun. These guys have no clue what's about to happen on live TV, which is fun for only me and everyone watching at home. I'm going to ask each of you a question. I'm going to describe one of your former teammates and see if you can identify them. Now, I have the script here because I couldn't put it in the teleprompter or else you guys would know the answer. So, Obi, we're going to start with you. Now, don't give me the answer out loud. So here, see these 3 shadowy figures back here?
Yes.
We're going to reveal the answers, all right? So, Obi, think it out. Don't give it to me yet. In 1995, who led your Silver Bullets defense in interceptions?
The late 1900s.
I thought Obi played for that. I guess that 1921 Oakland team. In 1995, okay, go and stand by your shadow. Think it over. 1995, who led the Silver Bullets in interceptions? All right, Jay. 2002 championship season.
Okay.
Which tight end had the most touchdowns among the tight end group?
I already know.
Go and stand right there in the middle, amongst the tight end group.
Okay.
And lastly, Ben, in 2012, of the guys who made it in the box score, because a lot of guys didn't play, but of guys who made it in a box score, who had combined the least amount of rushing and receiving yards? Of guys who saw action in the box score, who has the least amount of rushing and receiving? All right, Obi, are you standing? Okay. So first off, I think in difficulty, Ben's is the hardest.
I would say so.
You got hosed on this.
Man.
So Obi, is your answer locked in? Who led the 95 silver bullets and interceptions? Do you have any idea?
I am going to go with.
He had 5 picks, if that helps.
It doesn't.
I'm going to go with Ty Howard.
Ty Howard, can we reveal the answer? Is it Ty Howard? It is Sean Springs.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Okay.
I was going to go, but I thought that was too obvious. I was like,
we tried to give you the layup. All right, Jay. Now Jay's confidence. He's about to either be impressive or face plant on live TV because you're way too convinced. Okay, your guy who had the most touchdowns amongst the tight end group. He had 2 touchdowns that year, and that led the tight ends.
You know what? I already know. My dog, heck of a player, by the way. Man, I better be right about this. Ben Hartsock.
Show me Ben Hartsock.
Come on.
Correct.
Come on.
It's correct.
I'm a professional.
It's correct. That was very impressive.
So I was a fan. I think I would have got that one.
Yeah,
I remember watching the other 2 teams.
I think we're learning Ben knows your teammates more than he knows his own.
I don't know.
Okay, in 2012, who of the guys who made it on the box score, because a lot of guys didn't play, but of everyone who went in the scorebook, the least amount of combined rushing and receiving yards?
So this is interesting because it has to be both rushing and receiving.
Combined, they did either one. In fact, I'll give it to you. He had 6 total yards that year.
He's stalling. Stop letting him stall.
Oh, my gosh.
6 yards on the 2012
6 yards
team.
on the whole I don't know. I was going to get someone like
you got to give a guess.
Your clue is he's very handsome. Who is this guy?
Oh my God, myself! It's myself!
Roll the video.
I had 1 rush for 6 yards.
Roll the video. Roll the video. Here it is, boys. The 2012 Buckeyes.
What is it?
Ben
Fake
Buchanan
punt.
gets loose.
6 yards.
Okay, Ben.
Oh my God.
Ben, move those legs.
You're going to do me like that on live TV?
Ben.
He did not pick up the first down.
Ben, you didn't get the
I think I was
first?
like an inch short on that one, man. Oh, killing me here.
Ben, the Nebraska boys did you
6
crazy
yards.
right there.
I'm like,
I just want to be clear. That was our producer Spencer did this. I would never do you wrong like that.
Unbelievable.
All right.
Funny story. We didn't practice that at all. Urban came up day of the game and said, "Hey, I saw this. Let's do that." And you know, you got to have your blockers not
Why
leave
didn't
early.
you lower your shoulders?
Well,
He
I
has
tried.
never
You know.
lowered
Look
his
at the
shoulders.
shoulders on you.
Maybe I
He's
put on a
never-
little weight since my playing
He's
days.
never
What do
lowered
you
his
think?
shoulders.
Ben, you got to go seek contact.
6
dog.
yards in a cloud of dust.
All right,
this
all
guy.
right,
Well,
man.
coming up next, Ben Buchanan is going to give us his special report on special teams with some special problems to solve. Stay with us. We're going to get this thing back on the rails, I promise.
Just tracking the ball off the foot, trying to see where the wind is before a game helps too. Doing a lot of things pre-practice and post-practice to make sure we catch every punt.
Brandon Inniss is working to improve his game to make special teams special. He admits he needs to handle his punt return duties better, a feeling not lost on head coach Ryan Day, who did mention the Buckeyes are leaving hitting yards on the field from struggles in fielding punts. But Day is shopping other guys to possibly take over. We know Caleb Downs can do it. He's returned punts for touchdowns at both OSU and Alabama, but he's been noticeably absent from special teams duties this year. We even saw Jeremiah Smith line up for a punt return against Texas. So, Ben, Brandon Inniss was the primary punt returner last year. Ryan Day said they will still roll with Brandon Inniss at punt returner, but for the Buckeyes, would it be beneficial to give other guys opportunities?
I think it's an interesting question, and it's one to be considered. At the end of the day, you need to have a spark in the special teams, whether that is the kicking, punting game. And Brandon Inniss, I believe in this guy. You think about a guy who was really elected a captain this year as that third or fourth wide receiver. That says a lot about his leadership. Brandon's going to get it together, no question about that. I think Ryan Day, all the captains, all the senior leaders behind him there. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly an option, right? You have a Jeremiah Smith, a generational talent. Could he return some punts? Probably at a very high level. Don't want to get him hurt, obviously. Caleb Downs, same thing, really the captain or the quarterback of the defense. So I think Brandon Inniss is the guy. Confident he's going to do a great job for us looking, moving forward. Returning the punts is a difficult thing, Kelly, and it really is. Ideally you're getting a spiral that's coming in. Sometimes the punter doesn't hit it perfect. It's coming in like a knuckleball. You really have to look it in, keep the basics, and I know they practice it this week.
You're also battling with the elements there, too.
Absolutely.
The sun, the wind. But as you mentioned, Brandon Inniss, you said that spark on special teams. He's the spark plug. He's the energizer bunny. I'm sure he worked a lot on that in practice. And it's also a good opportunity for other guys like maybe Bryson Rogers back there we could see moving forward. But coming up, it's an AP voting scandal. One voter giving the college football world some bulletin board material, the reason for her choice to snub the university.
In this edition of our DR Horton Bulletin Board material, we're straying a bit from Ohio and heading down south to the Sunshine State. The South Florida Bulls are putting together an early Cinderella run, knocking off 2 ranked opponents in 2 weeks. First, they beat Boise State 34-7. Then they waltzed into the swamp and beat Florida 18-16 on a last-second field goal. Those wins vaulted South Florida into the AP poll, while the Gators have tumbled out of the top 25 completely. But South Florida's rank of 18 almost didn't become a reality if one AP voter got her way. Haley Sawyer, who works for the SoCal News Group, submitted a crazy ballot that somehow had Florida moving up 2 spots to 11th while keeping USF unranked. Sawyer took a ton of heat for the ranking, then she offered this explanation, which I would argue is not much of an explanation at all.
But as far as what my votes are and what my process is, you know, I wake up early in the morning after covering a game late in the night before. Don't want to go too much into my process or logic, but I will say I appreciate.
All right, if you don't speak backpedal at home, my bad is what she should have said. Her ballot was an extreme outlier, so it didn't change anything drastically in the rankings. But Jay, what are your thoughts on this as a former player when you see people doing rankings or back in the day of the BCS and you think, are they even paying attention?
How much time you got, Dave?
We got 60 seconds.
Listen, I'm just going to say this right here. First of all, shout out to the USF Buffs and my former 3 technique at Dublin Side High School, Alex Golesh, kicking butt, doing his thing. Let's get back on track here. Game, and they continue to run the table, and then their only loss is going to be to a Miami team that should finish most likely in the top 4. You're looking at a team that's absolutely going to be in the playoffs, and you're going to see some really, really cool matchups, by the way, this season in the playoffs, because this is going to be a unique season.
All right, stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment to give you our final thoughts ahead of the kickoff. This is the Football Fever. Time now for our Hyundai keys to the game. First key is start me up. You can't start a car without a key. You can't start an upset without letting a team hang around. Every upset begins with a sluggish first quarter. Ohio State needs to score early and break the Bobcats' spirit. Key to Country Roads Revenge. Hey, CJ Donaldson, last week these Bobcats beat your buddies from West Virginia. How about you do your old friends a favor and get a little revenge, see if that ground game has truly improved or if last week was just the Grambling effect. Finally, Mascot. We need a visual on Rufus all afternoon. I want to run Mascot Spy. Don't let that feral cat out of your sights because he cannot be trusted. All right, before we give our final thoughts here, we're presenting a new segment, Prime Sportsbook Picks of the Day. Our eyes on Ohio State. A lot of great games out there today, though, guys. So what are your thoughts on who is going to win? Kellyanne?
Well, I was looking at Tennessee, Georgia, of course, after covering the Vols. Now, Georgia's won 8 straight over Tennessee, but Josh Heupel has Joey Aguilar rolling with his up-tempo offense. They're at Neyland. I know Vols fans will give the Bulldogs heck, so I'm picking Tennessee to win this one.
Okay.
And I know South Florida, I'm going to give a shout-out. I covered Alex Golesh when he was offensive coordinator at Tennessee. I'm so happy for his success. So I bet he's no bull at the Bulls.
Jay, you're taking USF over Miami.
I got to take Alex
Yeah,
go, Lesh,
let's
in
roll with
the
it.
fighting bus, because listen, he was my 3 technique in high school, man. I've known this kid since I was 15 years old, and they do a lot of big time upsets. Boise State, obviously, as we already mentioned, and before. So yes, it's gonna happen. Just wait for it.
Build off that momentum.
You know what? I took Clemson beating Georgia Tech for the obvious. I don't know when the last time Georgia Tech has been a powerhouse. Clemson has been, though they're not exactly where they should be right now, but Clemson over.
Quickly, I'll say Wisconsin, Alabama. I'm a Luke Fickell believer. I think he's going to do great things there. I do believe that. Some struggles in Alabama, which we're seeing. Obviously last week, but I think we'll see as the season develops.
I'm taking Notre Dame over A&M, but I would take A&M with the points. I'm a little nervous about this one. I think A&M could get a little revenge from last year, but, you know, hey, Notre Dame had a week after that loss to Miami, so I'm taking the Irish. That'll do it for us, guys. We got 8 seconds left. Final thought here? Anyone?
3-0 heading into the bye week.
Let's go.
Let's go. All right, we'll see you
Make it happen.
in 2 weeks back here on the Football Fever.